For 12 years, Daniel and Maya believed one thing. The day their mortgage disappeared, they would finally feel free. No more payment. No more lender. No fear that one bad month could put their home at risk. Then the balance hit zero. 30 days later, a $4,700 repair arrived. Most of their wealth was locked inside the house. And Daniel was standing in the kitchen wondering how two people with no mortgage could still feel financially exposed. That was when they discovered the part nobody had warned them about. Paying off the house changed everything, just not in the way they expected. For years, their lives had revolved around one number: $2,240. That was the mortgage payment leaving their account every month. Every promotion, vacation, repair, and career decision had to pass the same test: can we still make the payment? Daniel worked in regional sales. The job paid well, but it came with constant travel, difficult targets, and a manager who treated every weekend like an emergency. Maya worked at a medical office. She wanted to reduce her hours and build a bookkeeping business from home. But the numbers never worked. They earned respectable money, but the mortgage sat inside every decision like a silent third person. So they attacked it. Tax refunds, bonuses, and raises went toward principal. After 12 years, they made the final payment. They opened champagne, photographed the zero balance, and calculated what life would look like with an extra $2,240 every month. On paper, the answer looked incredible. In real life, the first change had nothing to do with spending. It changed how Daniel behaved at work. 2 weeks after the payoff, his manager offered him a larger territory. More travel, worse accounts, no meaningful raise. Before, Daniel would have accepted. The mortgage had trained him to avoid risk. This time, he said, "That does not work for me." His manager paused, moved the territory to someone else, and continued the meeting. No punishment, no disaster. Daniel realized he had not only gained cash flow, he had lowered the amount of fear required to control him. That is the first thing a paid-off house can give you: a lower financial floor. A bad month becomes painful instead of catastrophic. A job change becomes possible. A toxic manager loses some of his power. But relief can create a dangerous illusion. When the mortgage disappears, it is easy to believe the house is now free. It is not. A month later, the property tax bill arrived. Then the insurance renewal. Then, during the hottest week of summer, the air conditioning system failed. The repair company wanted $4,700 to replace it. Daniel opened their banking app. The house was worth almost $430,000. They owned it outright. But their accessible emergency savings were only $8,600. That moment exposed the difference between being wealthy on paper and being financially ready. The contractor could not accept a bedroom, a roof tile, or 1% of the home's equity. The bill required cash. A paid-off house can protect where you live. It cannot automatically protect how quickly you respond. They paid for the repair, but the experience shook them. They had spent years sending extra money into the walls of their house. Now those walls were valuable, but the money inside them was difficult to reach. And the next danger did not arrive as an emergency. It arrived as a reward. For several months, they left the old mortgage payment in checking. Restaurant meals became more frequent. New furniture appeared. Their vacation became more expensive. Nothing felt irresponsible because they were still spending less than $2,240. Then Daniel began pricing a new SUV. The payment was $1,180 a month. He could afford it now. At least that was how it looked. Maya asked one question. If we replace the mortgage with another payment, what exactly did we become free from? Daniel had no answer. That is how people can pay off a house without becoming financially free. The old obligation disappears, but lifestyle expands to occupy the empty space. There was also an uncomfortable question. What had they given up by paying the mortgage early? They had sent around $900 extra toward principal most months. Invested over many years, that money could have grown into a substantial portfolio. That does not prove they made the wrong decision. Investment returns are uncertain. Mortgage interest savings are guaranteed. Peace of mind has real value. But paying off debt is still a trade between guaranteed security, liquidity, and potential future growth. The mistake is not choosing security. The mistake is making the trade without understanding what you are exchanging. And this next realization changed the outcome. The most valuable thing Daniel and Maya had built was not the paid-off house. It was the habit of making the payment. For 12 years, they had moved $2,240 every month without waiting for motivation. Their budget was already trained to live without that money. The mortgage was gone, but the habit was still available. So they redirected it. On the same date the payment used to leave, an automatic transfer moved $2,240 out of checking. Part went into a home repair reserve. Part increased their retirement contributions enough to capture the full employer match. The rest went into a diversified brokerage account. They did not wait to invest whatever remained at month end. They moved the money first before it could look spendable. That protected them from replacing the mortgage with a new car, remodeled kitchen, or dozens of forgettable expenses. 1 year later, Daniel still drove the same car. But their repair fund was full, their retirement contributions were higher, and their brokerage account had become real liquid protection. More importantly, Maya reduced her medical office hours and accepted her first bookkeeping clients. That was the opportunity they had delayed for years. The paid-off house did not create that freedom by itself. The system they built afterward did. A paid-off house is not the finish line. It is a transfer point. You move from using income to protect your home to using that security to build the rest of your life. If your mortgage is close to zero, make 4 decisions before the final payment arrives. First, calculate your true post-mortgage housing cost. Include taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, and association fees. Second, protect liquidity. Build an emergency fund and a separate home repair reserve before upgrading your lifestyle. Third, automate the old payment. Send it toward retirement accounts, investments, cash reserves, or another specific goal on the date it used to leave. Fourth, choose one intentional reward. Celebrate without turning temporary excitement into permanent monthly obligations. Daniel and Maya thought everything would change when the mortgage balance reached zero. But the real change happened when the $2,240 left their account again. This time it was not paying for yesterday's house, it was paying for tomorrow's choices. The house gave them security. The redirected payment gave them options. And options were what they wanted all along. When your mortgage disappears, celebrate, then decide where the payment goes next. Because becoming mortgage-free can change your life, but only if the freedom does not disappear into your spending. If your mortgage vanished tomorrow, where would the old payment go? Share your answer in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, and watch the next story about whether paying off a low-interest mortgage early is actually worth it.